The email arrived at 9:23 p.m. on a Thursday evening. I was in my home office in Seattle, finishing up lesson plans for my high school chemistry class, when my phone chimed. My sister Vanessa's name appeared on the screen. We hadn't communicated in over a month, not since our uncomfortable dinner at Dad's lake house in Montana. The subject line read, "About Dad." My stomach dropped before I even opened it. "Marcus, I'm sorry to tell you this way, but Dad passed away this morning. Heart attack. Very sudden. The funeral is Monday. I've already spoken with his estate attorney. Dad's will leaves everything to me. The business, the properties, his investments, all of it. There's nothing for you. I know this might be hard to accept, but please don't contest it. Dad made his wishes clear. Vanessa." I stared at the screen, reading it 3 times. My father, Robert Sterling, dead at 68, and my sister's immediate response wasn't sympathy or shared grief. It was a preemptive legal warning. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Let me give you some context. My name is Marcus Sterling. I'm 51 years old, been teaching chemistry for 26 years. My partner David and I have been together for 18 years, married for 9. We have 2 teenage daughters we adopted when they were toddlers, Sophie and Maya, both 16 now and thriving. My sister Vanessa is 3 years younger, 48. We grew up in Montana, where our dad built Sterling Construction from the ground up. It's now one of the largest commercial construction firms in the Pacific Northwest, worth somewhere north of $150 million. Vanessa joined the company right out of college, worked her way to VP of Operations. She married Trevor, a corporate lawyer, and they have a son at Yale. Our father was tough, old school, a self-made man who valued hard work above everything. When I came out at 25, he didn't speak to me for almost 4 years. We rebuilt our relationship slowly over the next 2 decades. By the time David and I adopted the girls, Dad had changed. He flew out for birthdays, sent the girls gifts, even walked Sophie down the aisle at her quinceañera. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Or that's what I believed. The next morning, I called Dad's executive assistant, Linda. She'd been with him since before I was born, practically family. "Linda, it's Marcus. I got Vanessa's email about Dad. I can't believe it." There was a long, confused silence. "Marcus, what are you talking about? Your father is alive. He's actually here right now, arguing with the architect about the Spoken project." My blood went cold. "What did you just say?" "Your father is fine, honey. He's in perfect health. Is this some kind of joke?" I ended the call, hands shaking. I immediately dialed David at his law office downtown. "David, Vanessa told me Dad died yesterday. Linda just told me he's alive and in his office. I think Vanessa is planning something with his estate." There was a sharp intake of breath. "Marcus, that's elder fraud. Possibly worse. You need to call a lawyer right now." I spent the rest of the morning on the phone. First, I contacted Mitchell Barnes, an attorney I'd worked with years ago on a property dispute. I explained everything. "Marcus, if your sister is misrepresenting your father's status and attempting to access his estate fraudulently, we're talking serious felonies, but you'll need concrete evidence. Suspicion isn't enough." Next, I hired a forensic investigator named Patricia Huang, who specialized in financial elder abuse. She arrived at my house that afternoon, a sharp-featured woman in her early 50s with intelligent eyes. "How long has your sister had access to your father's finances?" she asked, notebook open. "About a year. Dad had some chest pains, turned out to be indigestion, but Vanessa convinced him to give her power of attorney. Said it was just for business continuity, in case something happened." Patricia's expression darkened. "That's the typical entry point. Give me 72 hours. I'll map out exactly what's been happening with his accounts." That night, I drove to Dad's lake house, 3 hours east. I didn't call ahead. When I arrived just after sunset, I could see lights on inside. I used my key, the one Dad had given me years ago. "Dad?" I called out, stepping into the familiar cedar-scented living room. He appeared from the kitchen, wearing his usual flannel shirt and jeans, reading glasses perched on his nose, very much alive. "Marcus, what are you doing here? Is everything okay?" I stood there, staring at him, relief and anger flooding through me in equal measure. "Dad, we need to talk. It's about Vanessa." We sat at his kitchen table, the same one where we'd had awkward, healing conversations after our estrangement. I told him about the email, about the funeral, about the will. Dad's face went from confusion to shock to something darker. "She said I was dead? And that your will leaves everything to her? That I get nothing?" He stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. "Marcus, I don't have a will that leaves everything to Vanessa. My will splits everything 50-50 between you and her. It's been that way for 15 years. Then why would she say that?" He turned to face me, and I saw something I'd rarely seen in my father's eyes. Fear. Because she's been pressuring me to change it. For months now. Ever since Trevor's firm lost that big client. They're in financial trouble, Marcus. Bad trouble. She keeps bringing papers for me to sign, telling me it's just routine business stuff. But I've been refusing. Dad, I hired an investigator. If Vanessa's been taking money. She has power of attorney, he said quietly. I gave it to her. God help me, I trusted her. Patricia called me 2 days later. Marcus, sit down for this. I was in my classroom during lunch period, grading lab reports. Tell me, your sister has transferred over $340,000 from your father's personal accounts to various accounts she controls. She sold his rental properties in Bozeman to an LLC registered in Delaware, which traces back to her husband's law firm. She's been systematically liquidating accessible assets for the past 10 months. I felt sick. How is Dad not noticing this? The statements are probably going to an address she controls. And Marcus, there's more. I found communication between Vanessa and a doctor in Missoula, a neurologist named Dr. Philip Grant. They went to college together. There are emails discussing your father's cognitive assessment. What cognitive assessment? Dad's sharp as ever. Exactly. I think they're planning to have him declared incompetent. Once that happens, she can have him placed in memory care and have complete control of the estate. That's insane. That's desperate. And desperation makes people dangerous. I drove back to Montana that weekend. Dad and I agreed I'd stay at a hotel and we'd figure out our next move. But when I arrived at his lake house Saturday morning, his truck was gone. The door was unlocked. Inside, I found signs of a struggle. A kitchen chair knocked over. Dad's reading glasses on the floor. One lens cracked. His phone was on the counter, powered off. I called 911 immediately. The sheriff's deputy who responded was skeptical. Mr. Sterling, your father's an adult. Maybe he went somewhere. His glasses are broken on the floor. He's nearly blind without them. He wouldn't go anywhere voluntarily like this. We can't file a missing persons report for 24 hours unless there's evidence of foul play. I called Patricia. Dad's gone. I think Vanessa took him. I'm on my way. Don't do anything until I get there. But I couldn't wait. I drove to Vanessa's house, a massive modern home outside Missoula. Trevor's Range Rover was in the driveway, but not Vanessa's Tesla or Dad's truck. Trevor answered the door, looking annoyed. What do you want? Where's my father? How should I know? Probably at his place. He's not, and Vanessa told me he was dead. Want to explain that? Trevor's expression shifted, became guarded. You need to leave. Not until you tell me where Dad is. Vanessa had to take your father for a medical evaluation. He's been having episodes, confusion, memory loss. We're getting him the help he needs. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. According to his neurologist, there is. Now get off my property before I call the sheriff. I left, but I sat in my rental car down the street, watching the house. 3 hours later, Vanessa's Tesla pulled into the driveway. But Dad wasn't with her. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then a whisper. Marcus. Who is this? It's me. It's Dad. My heart stopped. Dad? Where are you? Listen carefully. I don't have long. I'm at Riverbend Behavioral Health Center. Vanessa had me committed. She and that doctor friend of hers, Grant. They're saying I'm a danger to myself. Marcus, I'm not crazy, but they've got me locked in here, and they're medicating me. I managed to borrow a phone from an orderly. Dad, I'm coming to get you right now. No. You can't just show up. They won't let you see me. Vanessa's listed as my only approved visitor. Marcus, she brought papers today. She wants me to sign over power of attorney to her permanently, along with the deed to the business and properties. She says if I don't sign, I'll stay here indefinitely. We're calling the police. And tell them what? That my daughter, who has legal power of attorney, had me evaluated by a licensed neurologist who deemed me incompetent? They'll side with her. We need proof, son. Real proof of what she's doing. How? Tomorrow she's coming back at 2 p.m. with more papers. If you can get in here somehow, if you can record what she says, we might have a chance. The line went dead. I spent that night planning with Patricia and Mitchell. The next morning, I went to Riverbend Behavioral Health Center. It was a private facility, expensive and discreet. I'm here to see Robert Sterling, I told the receptionist. I'm his son. She checked her computer. I'm sorry, but Mr. Sterling's visitor list is restricted. Only Vanessa Sterling Trevor is approved. I'm his son too. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake. You'll need to contact Mrs. Trevor if you want to be added to the list. I left, frustrated, but Patricia had anticipated this. She'd contacted a friend who worked as a patient advocate, someone who could legitimately access the facility. At 1:45 p.m., I entered Riverbend wearing borrowed scrubs and a visitor badge that identified me as a consultant. Patricia had coached me through it. I made my way to the behavioral health wing. I found Dad's room. He was sitting in a chair, staring at the wall. When he saw me, relief flooded his face. "Marcus, are you okay? What have they been giving you?" "Something to keep me calm," they say. "It makes everything foggy, but I've been hiding the pills when I can. I need to stay sharp for when Vanessa comes." I pulled out my phone, activated the recording app. "When she gets here, try to get her to say exactly what she's planning, why she's doing this." At 2:07 p.m., Vanessa arrived. I hid in the bathroom, door cracked open, phone recording. "Hi, Dad," Vanessa said, her voice saccharine sweet. "How are you feeling today?" "I want to go home," Dad said. His voice was slower than usual, slurred from the medication. I know, and we're working on that. But first, we need to handle some business matters. Just some signatures, and then we can talk about getting you into a nice assisted living facility." "I don't need assisted living. I need to go home." "Dad, you're not well. You know that." Dr. Grant explained it. "The dementia, the confusion. You're not safe on your own anymore." "There's nothing wrong with me." Vanessa's voice hardened. "Dad, you gave me power of attorney because you trust me. I'm trying to protect you. The business is complicated. The properties, the investments. If you just sign these documents, I can manage everything properly. Make sure you're taken care of." "You mean make sure you get everything?" There was a long silence. When Vanessa spoke again, her voice was cold. "You're going to sign these papers, one way or another. Because if you don't, you're staying here. And those medications you don't like, they'll keep increasing them. Until you can't remember your own name. Until you'll sign anything I put in front of you." "That's extortion." "That's reality, Dad. You should have just changed the will when I asked nicely. Instead, you made this difficult. Marcus doesn't deserve anything from you. He walked away from the family, from the business. I'm the one who stayed. I'm the one who earned this. Marcus is my son. Marcus is nobody. He's a teacher who makes $40,000 a year. I've been running Sterling Construction for 15 years. I've earned everything you have. And I'm taking it, whether you cooperate or not." I stepped out of the bathroom. Still recording. "That was incredibly enlightening, Vanessa." She spun around, face going white. "What are you doing here? You can't be here." "Funny. That's what you told Trevor to tell me. But I heard everything. The threats, the coercion, the admission of fraud. That recording is illegal. Montana is a two-party consent state." Mitchell Barnes stepped into the room behind her, along with a sheriff's deputy. "Actually, Montana allows recording in situations where there's a reasonable expectation that a crime is being committed. And facilities like this fall under healthcare provider exceptions when patient welfare is at stake." The deputy stepped forward. "Vanessa Sterling Trevor?" She looked between all of us, panic setting in. "This is insane. I'm protecting my father. He's incompetent." "I'm standing right here," Dad said, his voice stronger now. "And I'm perfectly competent. Which you know, because you've been threatening to drug me into compliance if I didn't give you what you wanted." Over the next week, everything unraveled for Vanessa. Patricia's forensic investigation revealed the full extent of the theft: $428,000 transferred, properties sold to shell companies, Dad's retirement accounts drained. Dr. Philip Grant, under pressure from the medical board, admitted he'd provided a fraudulent diagnosis in exchange for payment from Vanessa. The recording I'd made was damning enough, but when combined with the financial evidence and Dr. Grant's confession, the case against Vanessa was airtight. She was arrested on charges of elder abuse, extortion, fraud, and theft. Trevor filed for divorce within a week, trying to distance himself from her legal troubles. Dad was released from Riverbend immediately. The facility faced its own investigation for accepting a fraudulent commitment. We got Dad home, got him checked out by legitimate doctors who confirmed what we already knew. There was nothing wrong with his mind. The trial took 8 months. Vanessa fought every charge, hired expensive lawyers with the money she'd stolen. But the evidence was overwhelming. In the end, she was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. She was ordered to repay every dollar she'd stolen, plus substantial fines. Trevor got custody of their son, who was devastated by what his mother had done. Dad and I tried to maintain a relationship with him, to be the stable family he needed. But it was complicated. He was angry, confused, hurt by everyone. Dr. Grant lost his medical license permanently. The Montana Board of Medical Examiners made an example of him. As for Dad, he made some changes. He updated his will to include additional protections, set up a trust with independent oversight. He also established the Sterling Family Integrity Foundation, using some of the recovered funds to provide legal assistance to families dealing with elder financial abuse. Dad sold the construction company. He said he couldn't look at it the same way anymore, knowing what Vanessa had been willing to do to take it from him. He took the money and split it evenly between me and my nephew. determined that something good should come from all of this. One evening about a year after Vanessa's sentencing, Dad and I sat on his dock, watching the sunset over the lake. He'd been quiet most of the day. "Do you ever wonder if there was something I did wrong?" he asked. "Something that made her think money mattered more than family?" I thought about that for a long time. I think Vanessa made her own choices. You taught us both the same values. I chose one path. She chose another. "I keep thinking about all those years we didn't talk," he said. "After you came out, I wasted so much time being stubborn, being wrong. And then when we finally fixed things, Vanessa was trying to take it all away. We got it back though. That's what matters." He reached over and gripped my shoulder. "You saved my life, Marcus. You and David and the girls. You're my real family. Not because of blood, but because you showed up, even when I didn't deserve it." We sat in silence, watching the water. Inside the house, I could hear David and the girls arriving, laughing about something. Dad had invited them up for the weekend. These had become regular visits now, making up for lost time. "You know what I learned from all this?" Dad said. "Family isn't about who gets what when you die. It's about who's there while you're living." Vanessa was so focused on my death, on what she'd inherit, that she forgot about my life, about our relationship. She traded love for money. And lost both. Yeah, she did. Later that night, after dinner, Dad pulled out a photo album. Old pictures of Vanessa and me as kids, playing in the snow, building with blocks, laughing together. "She wasn't always like this," he said softly. "She was a good kid once." "I know. I still love her. Is that wrong?" I put my arm around his shoulders. "No. That's what makes you different from her. You still have the capacity to love someone even after they betray you." "Do you think she'll ever understand what she lost?" "I don't know, Dad. I hope so. For her sake. The truth is, I don't know if Vanessa will ever truly understand what she destroyed. The damage she did wasn't just financial. She broke something fundamental: trust, family bonds, the assumption that your own child won't view you as an obstacle to be eliminated." But I learned something important through all of this. Real family isn't determined by genetics or inheritance. It's determined by who shows up during the hard times, who sits with you when you're afraid, who fights for you when you can't fight for yourself. David and I have taught our daughters that lesson. That integrity matters more than money. That people are more important than things. That love is measured in presence, not presence. Vanessa made her choice. She chose wealth over relationships, greed over love. And now she's in prison, having lost everything that actually mattered: her father's trust, her son's respect, her freedom, and her family. Dad is 70 now. He's healthy, active, still sharp as ever. We see each other every few weeks. He's teaching Sophie and Maya how to fish, how to identify birds, how to build things with their hands. He's being the grandfather he should have been all along. As for me, I got something more valuable than any inheritance could have provided. I got time with my father. Real time, honest time. Where we could heal old wounds and build something new. Where I could prove to him, and to myself, that showing up matters. That love is an action, not just a feeling. Blood doesn't excuse betrayal. Being family means protecting the vulnerable, not exploiting them. And sometimes the hardest test is the one where someone pretends to care while actively working to destroy you. Dad passed that test. I like to think I did too. Vanessa failed, and that failure cost her everything that truly matters in life. But that was her choice. We all make choices, and we all live with the consequences.